want to go back to gold.
Yes.
So here's what I see happening. Very simple. They're going to lower interest rates in the run-up to the presidential reality show. Back in 1992, when Clinton was running the first time, the behind-the-scenes campaign theme was, "It's the economy, stupid." So they're going to do everything they can to prop up the economy. Going back to gold, they're going to lower interest rates. The lower interest rates goes, the deeper the dollar falls. The deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold goes up. You were mentioning about China. So the weaker the dollar goes, because gold is dollar-based, it's cheaper for other countries to buy gold. And of course, they're buying gold in China because they destroyed the economy with 3 years of zero COVID policy. And as with all booms, the housing boom was overbuilt. It happens all the time, but they made a boom a lot worse because they locked down the place and destroyed the lives and livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people. On the silver front, I don't understand. A matter of fact, I remember buying silver, I think it's back in the 80s for or 90s, like $40 an ounce.
Oh, right. Yeah, with the Hunt brothers. Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I've been wondering, right? Everybody always wants to know why silver is being suppressed. But it was amazing to me that the president of the United States came out when they took silver out of the currency and said that they were actually going to manipulate the market if you tried to accumulate silver. Right. And I'm wondering if that's not part of what continues, the pattern that continues today. Well, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. All you have to go back is to the JP Morgan gang. And what are they convicted of? 5 felonies? And one of them is rigging the gold and silver, the precious metals market. They paid the grand total of $900 million for rigging the markets. 900, nothing, no money at all, considering what they did in rigging the precious metals market. So yeah, the government doesn't want to see the prices of gold and silver go up, because that makes it a realization of how bad the economy is. So of course I believe they're rigging it. And also, if Bitcoin wasn't there, the prices of both precious metals would be a lot higher. And the reason a lot of people are buying Bitcoin is because you're seeing around the world economies going to crap, like Argentina with an inflation rate of 250, 240%. So the people can't afford to buy gold or silver, so they're buying tiny bits of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. That's what's driving the price up. So where do you see this ending? I mean, where do you see the breakout points being, and where do you think it's going?
Well, silver is a little more challenging, but gold has already had that breakout, and then even after it had the breakout, we saw 4 tops, and now it's broken above that. However, I will never count on Wall Street to tell me the true fundamental value of either one of those assets. Silver still has yet to complete its cup formation. And, it's completely illogical when you look at the fact that silver gets used up and the number of paper contracts to physical and all of that. I mean, it's clearly going to continue to be manipulated. But I just did this calculation the other day, and I hadn't done it in a really long time. And to find out what is the fundamental value of an ounce of gold and an ounce of silver. So I'm about to sound outrageous, but probably like somebody telling somebody someday, back in 1900, that at some point that 1 ounce gold coin was going to be at wherever it happens to be at the moment, right? Yeah. So the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold, if they were to do the overnight reset today, or last week when I did this calculation, and they were to do it at a 1-to-1 ratio, which they won't, but if they were, the fundamental value of gold is over $40,000 an ounce.
Wow.
But that really shows you how much loss in purchasing power, the value of the dollar. It doesn't really show you, that's just gold in terms of this dollar.
Wow.
Depending upon where that gold silver ratio is, take that number and divide it. And that's the value of silver. However, you're not going to want to when it gets to those levels. And even though I know for many that sounds outrageous, it's not. Look at what's happening in Venezuela and Argentina and Turkey. And my God, there's a whole laundry list of emerging markets that have been doing recently overnight resets. And if you don't think that that's coming here and the rest of the world, you need to think again. Because personally, I find it very interesting when the pundits on TV will say, gee, we've never seen this before. Wow, what a surprise. I mean, you hear that all the time, and yet you and I have lived long enough to know that what they're actually seeing is the breakdown of a system.
Yep.
And I am not convinced in my mind that any of these wars or any of these other errors that these central banks make, I mean, they're supposed to be the brightest guys in the world, right? And yet they admittedly don't understand inflation, even though they're tasked with regulating that speed of inflation. Kind of scary. It's like letting your 3-year-old drive your car. You know?
Oh, would you forget that? Don't you remember that both from Yellen and Powell, that inflation is only temporary and then it became transitory?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and look where Powell came from. What was his last job? With the private equity group over there, Carlyle Group.
Yeah.
Private equity. What a joke. I mean, they've changed the whole country, the whole world, buying up all this stuff. You have a gang that runs the show. And going back to inflation, and so when you look at the real, just some numbers, if you took inflation and you bought an automobile in 1973, adjusted for inflation, the average automobile would cost $22,000. Today, the average automobile, adjusted for inflation, because we're into it, is $50,000. The purchase of an average home in the 1960s, putting inflation into it, would be about $111,000. Now it's $400,000. So what I'm saying is you're seeing all this inflation. Gold prices should be much, much higher.
Of course.
Because the value of the dollar has gone down so low by the numbers. And again, when we're talking about inflation, I talked about housing. No, hey, we're not going to add housing into the inflation in the CPI number.
Right.
The thing. So it's not them. Oh, the price of steak went up. People aren't eating steak anymore. They're eating ground beef. So you go to Shadow Stats and they're showing like the inflation numbers like more than triple to what they really are.
Right.
So it goes back to gold. To me, is the ultimate safe haven asset.
Well, it is. And you know what numbers I just crunched? And can you pull up that table and tell me what that is? You know, you calculate out the average wage in 1971 and convert that in how many ounces of gold, which this is off the top of my head. I think it was like 271 point whatever ounces of gold. If you never got a raise in terms of this garbage, in terms of fiat, right? But you were just paid in ounces of gold. I think it's something like $570,000 you would be paid today.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So, you know, give me the gold. You don't have to give me this crap. You know, give me the gold and pay me a fair wage, because that definitely keeps pace with inflation. And back then, one wage earner at $9,500 could support a family of 4. I don't know. You think you could support a family of 4 with $500,000 a year now?